Meme coin bad. Meme coin bad. Meme coin fear. Meme coin bad. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben. Today I want to talk about a very simple concept. And this is going to go into kind of some other things as well. Are meme coins bad? Now, here's the thing. I'm going to go back to my Donnie Darko days. Donnie Darko is my favorite movie of all time. Love Donnie Darko. It's a great movie. God bless him. And, in there he talks about like something called the fear continuum. That's like, they have this presentation and the teacher's like, is this fearful or is it not fearful or whatever it is. I can't remember exact language. And Donnie Darko, the hero of the story, basically says, that doesn't even make sense. Nothing is this or that, right? Everything's a continuum. So with meme coins being good or bad, you have to look at it like this, okay? Let's say this side is good and this side is bad. So meme coins, where do they fall? They don't fall here. They don't fall here. In reality, to every single person, they're going to fall somewhere on this line. Nothing is all good and nothing is all bad. The question is not, are meme coins bad? It's not, are they good or are they bad? The question is, how do they relate to you specifically in your life? So last night, we had these coins that were pumping, right? One was called Bald. One was called, there's one called Base, I think. Brian. Brian was the other one, named after Brian Armstrong, okay? And these things, did absolutely amazing. This thing pumped, to the sky, right? And then what happened? Red candle dump. A lot of people are saying they rugged, yada, yada, yada. That's not what I really want to talk about. What I really want to talk about is, and of course these are, the reason why I put Base is because these are all related to Base, which is the layer 2 of Coinbase. There's an exchange called Elite Swap, and that's where people were making money on these things. The question is, here's a question. If you don't do well with meme coins or any kind of short-term gains, the question is, why are you never here? And why are you always here? Why are you always coming in and buying when these things are on the downside? And I think really simply, if I were to break this down, there's a reason for that. It all has to do with this word right here. And I think a lot of you guys are going to relate to this. Man, what a crappy M there for time. It all has to do with a clock. You got a clock. You got your 12, 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
You've only got so much time in the day, okay? What time is that? That's 12:10, guys, if I know my time correctly. 12:10. It all has to do with time. How much time do you have to invest in researching coins? And you also have a short-term bank and a long-term bank. Now, when you think about this, okay, I'm telling you guys, this is going to hit home with so many of you guys. It's going to be unbelievable. You have both a short-term and a long-term. In the short term, and what do I mean by that? How many hours in a week do you have to focus on crypto specifically? You're working a full-time job. You may not have a lot. When it comes to the long term, the question is, how many years do you have to wait for your crypto to pop? Some of you guys are going to be rich in short-term bank. What do I mean by that? I mean, you ain't got a job. You don't have a job, or you have a job that you work very minimally at. Maybe it's part-time. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. The issue is here, if you're an entrepreneur and you do well, then you're probably going to fall in the second category here. But you may have a lot of hours in the short term that you can focus on crypto. However, in your long-term bank, you don't have that much money. If you keep going the rate that you're going right now and you don't make money in crypto or some other way, in a year from now, you're going to be completely broken homeless, right? You may have a long-term bank on the opposite end that's very full. You may have a lot of money. You may have a good job and you're still going to keep working on that job, but you've got so much money coming in, and I don't mean millions of dollars, I just mean you make 6 figures a year or whatever it is, or your wife works and does really well and you have a part-time job where you can wait on crypto for a long time, right? You can wait years for your crypto to pop and not have to worry about, are you going to make it? Now, your short-term bank, if you've got a lot of time in the short term, and of course some of you guys may have none of either, okay, I understand that. But if you got a lot of time in your short-term bank, which means you have many hours a week that you can put to crypto, then you can chase things like Bald. You can chase things like these Coinbase projects. Why? Because you're constantly on crypto Twitter, you're constantly watching what the environment looks like, and you know when to pull out. You've got to dedicate hours per week to this to profit on these meme coins in the short term. Now, if you're a long-term person, you're working every week. You don't have the hours to put into researching meme coins or DeFi or whatever it is every single day, right? So you don't have this time, but over the long term, you know you're gonna do well. Well, if you're gonna do well over the long term, then you just need to be sticking to ETH, Bitcoin, XRP, ADA, Poly, Matic, you guys get the point here, okay? If you've got the long-term bank that's filled up, just focus on these. Why? Because you don't have time in your short-term bank to be chasing these meme coins. Now, herein lies the issue, okay? A lot of you guys, you are not executing your time bank properly. So what happens is, somebody on Twitter that you follow, right? Which chances are, if you're not heavily researching in crypto 24 hours a day or whatever it is, you're not following probably the prime premier accounts you should be following. You're probably following larger accounts that by the time they tweet something, it's already too late, okay? What's happening is you are hearing someone say a ticker symbol, like this one right here, just like I did earlier. You see me write this, Bald. What do? You immediately go, oh, Bald, I got it. That's the newest, latest, crazy thing. I need to go get in on this. No. I'm telling you in retrospect that this happened. I'm not telling you that this is happening. I'm not telling you this coin's taking off. In fact, the rumor is that they rugged. And what happens? Once again, when a coin goes like this, you are in on this. You are not in on this, where people are making money. You are the exit liquidity, right? There's a reason why you continue to fall on the wrong side of these. You may not have any time in your short-term bank. If you don't have time to be researching crypto 3 to 4 hours per day minimum to stay on the edge of the trends, and I don't mean watching this channel, I mean going further than that. I mean doing your own research, then in that case, meme coin bad, right? Meme coin bad. Meme coin fear. Meme coin bad. If your long-term bank means you don't have hours in the day to research, it's the same thing. Meme coin bad. If you continue to fall on the wrong side of these trades, you have to ask yourself the question, how are you messing up your resources? And the number one resource we have is time. The number two resource we have is money. So with those two things combined, if you're constantly ending up on the wrong trade, wrong side of these trades, you need to step back, take a look at what you're doing wrong, and figure out how to better allocate your time and your resources, right? When it comes to meme coins, somebody on Twitter talked about this, about the average IQ of the person investing in meme coins is not as high as the average IQ of someone investing in DeFi, for instance, right? Or at least their crypto IQ. But yet, Those low IQ bird brains keep making money with the meme coins. Why? Because either they're getting lucky, number one, or because they're allocating their time resource the best. So you need to figure out how to allocate your time resource. Where do you fall on this? I want to know in the chat, drop down below, where do you fall in the short-term bank and where do you fall in the long-term bank? I want to know from you guys, how many hours a day are you researching? Are you comfortable just investing in the bigger coins? Do you like chasing the meme coins? Let me know down in the comments below. That's all the time I've got. Be blessed. BitBoy out.